Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is. I hope it is good. Here is a replay video, round number 1 for Amulet Titan Valakut. So let's get started. I win the die roll, and I have this opening hand. So I think this hand is absolutely great. I have a Once Upon a Time to find either a Tolaria West or a Titan. I have plenty of ramp. Now, just simply looking at this hand, the first thing I'm going to do is Once Upon a Time and either grab another land, because this hand is land light, or a Titan. Those are the two things I'm looking for. Now, unknown opponent, I'm on the play. I always value Secure Tribe Scout first, but this is an exception here, because I have the redundancy for the Secure Tribe Scout with the Dryad. So I'm actually going to grab the more important card here and play that first to kind of protect it in case my opponent thought seizes me. I'm going to go Snow-Covered Forest Amulet after I play that Once Upon a Time. The reasoning here is that with that Amulet in play, I can drop a turn 2 Dryad, or I can do Explore, I can do lots of different things. Where just playing turn 1 Scout opens me up to being Lava Darted. It opens me up if my opponent thought seizes me. Now all of a sudden I don't have the Amulet, which isn't always a big deal, but this hand really relies upon Amulet to kind of get going because it is very land light. So just kind of talking through what I'm about to do. So I cast Once Upon a Time and I just grab a land because I didn't have really too many other choices. I grab that other bounce land and I start with the Amulet. My opponent does Inquisition me here, so I feel a little justified in protecting that Amulet by putting it into play here. And now I have a lot of options. I did top deck another Amulet, so I feel pretty powerful here. So I can play the other Amulet and then explore, and if I top deck a Titan, I'm kind of in good shape. I did make what I think is a tiny little misplay here. I'm going to stop. I did draw another Amulet, so I play it. I have the Simic Growth Chamber in play, and I think I know what I should have done is put the Selesnya Sanctuary in play instead. So I have the Simic Growth Chamber in hand in case I draw a Tolaria West, then I'll have the double blue. Right now, if the Secure Tribe Scout dies, which is pretty likely to do against a green-black deck, I know I'm not playing Jund because they don't run Blooming Marsh, but now I'm less likely to be able to, I have one less out. Like now Tolaria West isn't an out anymore. I guess I have 2 less outs. So that was a mistake. It definitely should have put the Selesnya Sanctuary in play, the Simic Growth Chamber in my hand, so then I can play it, get 2, 4, 6, have 9 mana in play, with enough blue mana to be able to actually activate, transmute the Tolaria West and get a Titan. I didn't do that. I should have. I like pointing out things I didn't do correctly as well as things I did do right. So my opponent Fatal Pushes my Scout and Gilded Gooses. And now me recognizing my error, I want to shift my lands here. So I'm just going to float a bunch of mana, but there's nothing here. I thought about dropping the Engineered Explosives, but I didn't. The reason being is my opponent knows effectively what's in my hand except for this draw. And I don't see a value in putting it in 1 or 0, and I don't really know what my opponent's deck is yet. I know they're running Gilded Goose, but there's no Oko anymore, so I'm not really sure what to be afraid of. If it's Liliana of the Veil, for example, I'd rather discard, like if they drop Liliana of the Veil there, I'd rather discard the Engineered Explosives and keep the bounce land so I can top deck a Titan and win. But it's not what I drew. I just drew another Gruul Turf, so at this point I'm just progressing my mana, and I'm going to pick up that Snow-Covered Forest. Again, trying to play around this Liliana of the Veil. The Engineered Explosive is still in my hand. Again, my opponent's probably going to assume it's a land at this point. And now I finally see that my opponent is a Stoneforge deck, and they pick up Batterskull. I'm just going to keep going along here and progress my mana, hiding this EE for as long as I can. I top deck a Titan and I win here. Opponent Abrupt Decays 2 of my Amulets. Now all of a sudden I'm in a spot where I no longer win if I top deck a Titan, but I'm still in a good spot. So I play a land to make sure I have 5 lands in play, so a field will trigger if I decide to grab field. But in this case, with my opponent not entirely tapped out, one card in hand. I have a choice between either choosing to try to attack with the Titan and progress my mana further and deal 8, or I can just grab like a field and a Tolaria West and keep progressing. The opponent's only got one card in their hand. They've already played 3 removal spells, a push and 2 abrupt decays. I'm trying to figure out what that last card is in their hand because they didn't. Just because of the way this game has gone a little bit, and if you notice, they didn't actually fetch anything off the Stoneforge Mystic, which actually told me that the Batter Skull was in their hand. I'm wondering if they have another sword in their hand, like their second equipment. So I choose to go for it. Assume they don't have, the path here, and I'm going to go attack. Even if they do have the path, I still feel like I'm plenty far ahead here, and I can always EE on 0, I'll blow up their food and the germ. And now I can grab the field and the Tolaria West. I have the bounce land in my hand, so I can always pick this up. I don't know why my opponent decides to block my trample creature with a goose, just to save 2 life. But they concede right here. So I don't know what was in their hand. I have a feeling it wasn't. I'm not really sure. My original assumption was that it was a sword because I didn't fetch anything off the Stoneforge Mystic. I know it wasn't a path, but I'm pretty far ahead here. They can't kill the Titan. I have the Sunhome and the Slayers in play. They just concede. So that's game 1. Sideboarding, obviously going to be bringing in like Beast Withins, Ramanop, Rex Sage, Field. Dismember is one where I could bring it in, like I can dismember a timely Stoneforge, and sometimes I can slow my opponent down, but I don't really care too much about Stoneforge or Batter Skull. I'd rather just have Rex Sage deal with that or a Beast Within. I've got to assume my opponent's got Ashiok, so I'm also going to bring in like Tireless Tracker. Things I'm going to bring out, packs. I can bring out some number of ramps, either the Secure Tribe Scout or Amulet, based on how I feel my opponent is going to kind of go through with that. So you can see right here is how I sided. If you have the full deck list, I sided out all 4 amulets. I felt that how much my opponent attacked my amulets with their abrupt decays and how they kind of maybe just the way my opponent's play patterns were there, I felt that it was more important to play around them killing my amulet than them killing my scout. If they abrupt decay my scout, a lot less afraid of that than if they abrupt decay my amulet. I feel like that can set me further back. Now, of note, I didn't bring in Dismembers, and I didn't bring in Baloth. I didn't see a Liliana of the Veil there from my opponent, so I chose not to bring the Baloth. I'm up a game. But it's all obviously something, if you expect Ashiok and Liliana, you can always bring in that Baloth. I just felt like I'd be way ahead bringing in that second field. Now, one last thing to consider here is if my opponent had red, and they had red in 6, then I would definitely be siding out the scouts and keeping in the amulets. But they do not have red in 6, so scout is a little bit more powerful in this situation. So this is my hand. You can see here it's got ramp. I do need Tolaria West. Once Upon a Time to hit me one of my 8 untapped green sources. But this could have a turn 3. It's turn 3 potential Titan. I have an answer for Ashiok, and I have pretty much everything I want. Just my mana base is what's kind of a little screwy here. So I pick up that snow-covered forest, drop my scout, and my opponent just kind of is passing turn here. I don't really care about Stoneforge Mystic, and once again they pick up. They show me that they have a Batter Skull here. So my plan is to just progress my mana, drop an Azusa or a Dryad next turn. And that changes my ideals a little bit because now I have to worry about this Ashiok. Keeping Vesuva in hand, even though I could have played one more land drop because of Azusa, simply because if my opponent drops a Fulminator Mage now, I can Vesuva, flash in the Simic Growth Chamber, and save it. And I'm still going to have access to the 6 mana anyway. So I get rid of the Dryad, which is a bit redundant here. And now I can flash in the bounce land and kind of try to get a little bit further ahead. So I could drop a Titan, which would just be a 6/6, but then in that situation I would die. If I could rewind a few seconds, I would. In that situation, I would die to like a Fatal Push and a Liliana Edict, and that would set me really far back, and I don't want that. So what my plan is here is I'm going to hold on to the Snow-Covered Forest, pitch it to the Liliana of the Veil, Beast within the Ashiok, untap, and I have 2 Titans. Even if they Thought Seize me, I still am going to land with 1 Titan. So I have plenty of mana. The only thing I need to dodge here is like a Fulminator Mage, or like a double Thought Seize. That's really what I'm trying to avoid here. So the Beast Within is going to hit the Ashiok. Snow-Covered Forest will get pitched to Liliana, and then I should have at least 1 prime time to try to seal this deal. There's the Beast Within on the Ashiok, and now I get to untap with the prime time. I'm going to hold on to this castle because I still need something to discard to Liliana. And I want my next Titan to be able to attack. I chose Boros Garrison and Bog to shrink this Tarmogoyf because I do want to be able to attack through this Liliana. So what I did right there is I bogged them. I'm holding Scout up. I can then bog myself. I'm still hanging on to this Castle Garenbrig as an out to discard to Liliana. And then what I should be able to do is untap if they don't Thought Seize me and attack with 2 prime times to kill Liliana and put me way, way far ahead. So that's the plan I'm doing right now. So get rid of the Castle Garenbrig. And let's flash in this Bog, target me. And now all of a sudden, their Tarmogoyf is tiny. So here is, I could just keep top decking Titans, not even when I want to top deck at this point, because I already have that one in hand, but here we go. I'm going to cast this Titan, bounce Slayers, play Slayers, swing for 14 at Liliana. Now if you look at the most they can block, 7, 8, 9, 10. So at the 14, no matter what, Liliana is getting knocked down to 2. I can trade with a prime time, and then they can do a cute little thing and bounce and replay the Batterskull. But at that point, I should have plenty of zombies and be way far ahead. Double Field of the Dead. And a couple bounce lands, so I can put a bounce land in my hand. Like I can put the Vesuva and then something else like Vesuva can always copy field, and now I can start getting extra triggers there. Or I can just protect one of my lands from a Fulminator effect. So I kill Liliana, I lose a prime time, my opponent replays the Batterskull just as I predicted. With a trigger on the stack, they bounce him and replay him. But I don't really care. Primetime decks don't really care about Batterskull. And right here, my opponent just concedes. I don't know what maybe like a Path to Exile was their best possible top deck, but they know I have this Gruul Turf and Vesuva in hand. And my line was going to be end turn. If they pass, I was going to flash in Vesuva, copy Field the Dead, and now have 11 zombies. If they had like any form of removal on this prime time that these colors have, it'd probably be like a path or a trophy. That would give me 2 to 3 more zombies. So now we're looking at 11, 14 zombies swinging in. Even if they block 3, they're still in a really, really tough situation. That's not including this prime time that's still in my hand, and that's not including that I have a bounce land and I can pact for another Titan and play it. So really far ahead, 1-0, beat Abzan, Stoneforge Mystic.